Hey, what's going on, guys? Welcome to drboystv.com, the home for intelligent Black people. Today, I want to tell you a story about a brother who is going to face a lot of years in prison. He's a former Dunkin' Donuts employee by the name of Corey Puyos. And this story is happening in Tampa. It's very, very sad. And it has to do with racial slurs. And how far do you go when somebody calls you the N word? And what can we learn from this terrible experience? So, buckle up your seatbelt, get comfortable, hit the thumbs up button. We're going to get started on drboystv.com right now.
Here we are, clan the isms, cataclysm great. Our people out here struggling, trying to make it in this state. Everybody out here doing it, but we the ones who late. Now family, we the ones who gotta delegate. Get that money in the power, never be fake. Stick to cosign for 3. What did he say? Create jobs, support our own. Educate the same and buy back your home. Got 3 degrees, triple 10. 3 PhDs, now we on the CNN. DBTV, let's talk about negligence. Ignorance is bliss, but we can turn it to intelligence. Believe none of what you hear, half of what you see. Let's break it down here on Dr. Boyce TV. Here we are,
Hey, what's going on, guys? Welcome to drboystv.com, the home for intelligent Black people. My name is Dr. Boyce Watkins, and I want to let you guys know before we even get started that today on this platform and on any day on this platform, that we are Black first. We put the Black community at the top of our priority list. We believe that if you are Black first, that you can win. We believe in educating our own children, creating our own jobs, and supporting Black businesses. If you agree with this philosophy, put a hashtag B and the number 1 in the chat, hashtag B1. So let's be one today and let's have an intelligent conversation. Also, this platform is for intelligent Black people, which means that if you're not Black and intelligent, you may want to get the fuck out, right? So this is not the place for you if you are choosing to be ignorant and you want Black people to stay backward and not engage in critical thinking. With that said, there's this crazy story, and it's really bothers me. Dee and Michael L. Smith and A. Wade and Jimmy Fogle and Brett Alston. It bothers me. It bothers me because it makes me think about some things that inspired me this morning to really share this message to young people and anybody who has a young person that you influence. I think it's important to share this message so we can kind of think about ways to be successful in life and safe and good and okay. And I'm just going to read some of the story to you. If you could give me a yes or no in the chat if you can still hear me. I'm switching screens on my phone. Also, take a second. Please take a second. Hit that thumbs up button. Hit the thumbs up, thumbs up, thumbs up. Also, please make sure you subscribe. Subscribe to the channel right now. If you haven't done it, it's really important. We have Black media, and we got to build this. All right, so in Tampa, Florida, this is according to WWSB. A Dunkin' Donuts employee has been charged with manslaughter after he allegedly punched a man for using a racial slur, causing the victim to fall and hit his head. The victim succumbed to his injuries 2 days later. The incident occurred May 5th at a Dunkin' Donuts store on 50th Street in Tampa. Police say the 77-year-old victim was upset at the service he was receiving and got into a verbal altercation with employees. The man was asked to leave. When witnesses told police, he began arguing with Corey Puyos, a worker at the store. The victim called Puyos a racial slur. Puyos challenged the victim to repeat it. A police report said the victim repeated the slur, and that's when Puyos punched the victim in the jaw. This knocked the victim out, and the victim fell to the floor, and his head hitting the floor, police said. The victim died from his injuries May 7th. Puyos was initially charged May 5th with battery of a victim over 65. Since the victim's death, Puyos has been charged with aggravated manslaughter of an elderly adult. The case is still pending. First off, let me just say this. This is sad, man. I mean, this is really, really sad, and I just hate it. I hate hearing about somebody losing their life. Jail and prison is a pretty terrible place. I know a lot of people who went to prison. I've had to visit, people in prison. My father went to prison. My baby brother, my little brother, my biological brother went to prison. My uncle, my favorite uncle, went to prison. A lot of Black men go to prison. That's just kind of part of our experience. And and the thing is, I obviously you don't wish this on hardly anybody unless somebody really deserves to be there, right? But even when people make mistakes and do things wrong, prison is just such a terrible place. I mean, it's a torture chamber, right? It's a place where they don't just lock you up. They starve you. They force you back into slavery, according to the 13th Amendment. They will put damn near poison the food. They don't turn the heat up in the wintertime. The guards beat you, to an inch of your life. In some cases, you've heard cases of people being raped repeatedly in prison. Like I really hope that as we're talking about Black Lives Matter and police shootings, that we also talk about mass incarceration and just what that does to the community in terms of how the mental illness seeps into the community from so many of your people that have to go to prison and then they get put back into the community with all these issues. Now, with that said, um, I'm not going to sit here and say though that I can on any level condone what happened with this brother. I here's what I get, right, and I do get this. Somebody calls you the N word. I understand being angry about it. I completely get it. I know how we were raised. How many of you, give me a yes or no, how many of you were raised to believe that if somebody calls you the N word, that you're supposed to just knock them the fuck out? Like you're supposed to just go straight, like Debo on Friday, you got knocked the fuck out. Like how many of y'all were raised to believe that, like, if somebody calls you that word, and I'm assuming it's the N word. Maybe it wasn't the N word. Maybe it was another word, but I'm assuming it was the N word. How many of y'all were raised to believe that if somebody calls you that word, like that's your excuse for doing whatever? Okay, so I was raised that way too, and I get that, right? I completely get that, and I get the feelings that come with that. But another way to look at it too is to ask yourself, is that really worth me going to prison? Is that really, I mean, they will send you to prison. Like, you assault somebody, you punch somebody, it doesn't matter, you're 18 years old and you were 17 years old 2 weeks ago. They'll send you to grown up prison. And I've seen what's happened to young men who go to grown man prison. It's not pretty. Bad things happen, you know. And so while I certainly understand the frustration and the anger people might feel when somebody calls you the N word, I think that those of us, again, this starts with intelligent Black people and all the young people that you speak to. I think it's time for us to have a different conversation about that. I'll give you an example. When I was in college, my mama, I told you guys I was born. Me and my mama lived in the projects. When I was born, we did live in the projects. My mother had no money at all, and no, and no help. And my mother also grew up, pretty poor. And so she kind of grew up in the hood. She grew up with some hood experiences and whatnot. And so I got a little bit of that hood experience in me, but we worked hard to kind of create a different life over time. But the hood is kind of in my origin. And I remember when I went to the college. It was my freshman year at the University of Kentucky, and there was this white boy that I shared a room with, and he was on the swim team. He was a spoiled kid. He was from Louisiana. I'm sure they were racist, but honestly, I don't get caught up in what white people think about me. To be honest, that doesn't bother me. Maybe back then it pissed me off, but now it's kind of like whatever. I don't like you either. Good for you. But this white boy, he was on the swim team, and they used to really party on the swim team. I don't know how they did it, but they would stay up and party till like 3 in the morning and then get up at 6 in the morning to go to swim practice. And I'm like, how do you do that? Now me, my life was kind of messed up. I was trying to just get on a straight and narrow. I didn't have anything going for me. So except college. So I was trying to like do right, make good grades, all that, get plenty of sleep. So this guy and his friends would come in the room in the middle of the night and slam the doors like 3 in the morning and just jar me out of my sleep. Like, imagine you're in a real deep sleep and then you hear bam, you hear the door slam and it just jars you out. And then you go back to sleep and then you hear bam, like a few minutes later. I mean, it was terrible. It was really pissing me off. So I called my mother and I said, I said, this is driving me crazy. Like, what am I gonna do? Like, this guy, he comes in and he's he's slamming the door at 3 in the morning. And they're coming in acting a damn fool, disrupting everything I'm doing. And so what my mother said was, she said, okay, here's what you do. Coco, she called me Coco. That's what my family calls me. She said, okay, here's what you do, Coco. She said, when they try to knock on that door, you tell them they can't come in. And I said, but what if they still want to come in? She said, you keep a baseball bat behind your back. And if they come in, you get to whoop an ass. And I was like, okay, bet, great. So I literally got a baseball bat and I was ready to get to whooping ass. Like if they tried to come in, it was about to go down, right? And you know what happened? My mother called me back a few minutes later. She said, no, 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 Coco, we don't, we shouldn't handle it like this. That's not how you handle it. Because remember, my mother was very young. So my mother was almost like an older sister. So she was 17 years older than me. So she was still learning how to grow up as I was growing up. And so instead, what we did was I went to the dean and I got this guy kicked out of my dorm and I got the dorm room all to myself. And so the reason I tell this story, the reason I share this is because there are different ways to handle every situation, right? You can't control what somebody does to you. You can't control what somebody says to you. The only thing you can control is how you respond. That's the only thing that you can manage is what your response is going to be. And it's always a choice. Like I can't control the weather, but I can decide if I'm going to have an umbrella or not. Right. And so what I encourage you to kind of do is from that story, think about this, right? What if I had handled it? What if I'd handled it in a hood way? What would have happened to me? What would have happened if in Lexington, Kentucky, of all places, right? You're talking about the South now. An 18-year-old black boy beats a bunch of white dudes upside their head with a baseball bat. What do you think would have happened to me? Where would I have, where would I be, for the next 2, 3, 4, 5 years? What would my life be like? What do you think would have happened? Right. I would have gone to prison. I would have gone to jail. They wouldn't have heard my story. They wouldn't have heard me if I said, well, when they were doing this, it was really hurtful to me and it was really keeping me from studying and it was really disruptive to my sleep. They wouldn't care. They wouldn't care. Because the thing is that when you respond to something with that kind of violence, you lose all moral authority at that point. You lose the high ground. You no longer have the high ground anymore. You know, and again, well, I'm not a card carrying civil rights, we shall overcome Dr. King, I'm Marshall Dr. King type person. Don't get me wrong. I think the civil rights movement had a lot of limitations, like the idea of letting white people beat you upside the head just so you can go spend money in the stores. I'm not down for any of that program. But one thing about avoiding violence, unless it's necessary. One benefit to that is that you do get to keep that moral high ground, right? So an old man. So think about this, right? Again, not even me telling this, armchair coaching or armchair quarterback and what happened with this situation. There was a lot of elevated emotion, things go down or whatever. But here's the thing. So imagine another scenario. Imagine if this kid, Pujols, imagine if he had just, taken the high ground. Like he said, okay, this is a 77-year-old man. You don't know. 77-year-olds have a lot of issues. He could have mental health issues. He could be senile. He could be, he could literally, when people get older people say things that sometimes come off a little bit crazy. Some of y'all got crazy old people in your own family. Tell me if you know what I'm talking about, if you've seen this up close. And so he could have been like, you know what? I'm not going to worry about what this guy says, but I am going to report this, right? So imagine if he had reported that to Dunkin' Donuts corporate headquarters or filmed it and just said, look, this is the kind of abuse that your employees have to deal with. This is not cool. This is terrible. Then they probably would have maybe gave him some money, or maybe he could have sued Dunkin' Donuts for, forcing him to endure that kind of abuse or whatever. And I say that because let me tell you what happened with that white boy. With that white boy I told you about when I was a kid, when I went to the dean and I reported his behavior to the dean and said, look, this is what's going on, whatever. And I took plan B for my mother's strategy, the plan B that did not involve me putting a baseball bat upside his head. Do you know what happened? This is how the story ended. This is the good ending. The dean put this dude out of my room. I got a dorm room all to myself. And I was pretty much able to decide what his punishment was going to be. He literally let me decide, that how this guy was going to be dealt with, instead of it being something where, well, we know that he was bothering boys, and boys put a baseball bat upside his head. So I really think that we have to reconsider that sort of beat your ass protocol in response to somebody calling you the N word. And actually, to keep it 100 with you guys, the reason I don't respond when white people talk about me is actually because I realize that being overly responsive to what a white person says about you is actually another form of white supremacy. And let me explain why. hit the thumbs up button. Please hit the thumbs up button. Hear me out. Hear me out on this. The reason it's white supremacy when you respond this way is because basically when I decide that you can use a word, a trigger word, that's going to cause me to do something that is going to take me away from my family for the next 3 or 4 years, that's going to cause me to lose my job, that's going to cause me to lose my all my assets, my dignity, embarrass myself in public. Like that is me giving power to you, right? The fact that some 77-year-old man who probably got dementia or something can come in and just say, "Oh, y'all raggedy," right? Whatever, and he can cause me to ruin my entire life means that you're giving him a type of power you can never have over him. I don't know too many. I mean, tell me, give me a yes or no. Give me a yes or no. Do you think that if I walked up to a wealthy white man, let's say I walked up to a wealthy white man and I said, you ain't nothing but a raggedy cracker, right? Do you think that that wealthy white man would then do something like attack me and choke me and beat me to the ground and cause himself to lose his family and cause himself to be sent to prison for the next 5 years, cause himself to be sued for everything he's got, cause himself to lose his job? Like, do you think that he would give all that to me? If I went right, what's he gonna do? There you go. Thank you, Danny. He would laugh at me. He would walk away and say, "Yeah, but I'm still white, right?" He said, "Yeah, I'm still rich and white, and you're still black. So I guess we're even. I don't know. I got to be a raggedy cracker, but I'm a rich white raggedy cracker, right?" And I think that that's that to me is what led me to say, you know what, I ain't gonna be triggered by some toothless crazy redneck who decides they want to gain power over me by getting me to engage with them in a crazy negative way or in a way that's going to cause me to reduce myself to their level. I don't respond to that. I kid you not. I've been called words like that. I play Call of Duty sometimes with my sons. And by the way, we got a big win last night. I'm gonna share the clip because actually, it was the first time I actually got a win, and I actually was the guy who made the last kill. So I'm very proud of that. And on that, when I listen to Call of Duty, I kid you not, for some reason they like to use the N word all over the place. Everybody they like like they just like to say it, and I don't know why, whatever. And you know what? I just truly don't give a damn. I just don't care. And the reason I don't care is because I'm tired of living my life worried about what white people think about me. I assume that they don't care that much about me. And that's okay because my love tank is already full. I don't need your love because my love tank is full. I'm not like a little girl who needs love from a pimp because my daddy never told me that I was pretty. Right? No, my love tank is full. Right? If you love yourself, then your love tank is full. Your children love you. Your love tank is full. Your community loves you. Your love tank is full. I love you. Your love tank is full. So if your love tank is already full, then why do you need to go looking for love in all the wrong places? Why are you looking for white supremacists and racist people to love you? Because they're gonna be lying anyway. You know that they're gonna tell you that they love you in order to get something out of you anyway. Oh, we love you. Here, buy my product. Oh, we love you. Here, vote for this candidate. Here, Black Lives Matter. Here. Let us get some more of that black money, right? We'll give you some more love. We'll give you some more artificial love. She's giving us money, right? That's like they're literally. It's almost like printing cryptocurrency. They literally create a currency. They make themselves rich and powerful by giving you words. Like you get words, they get money. You get words, they get your votes. You get words, they get all your resources, and because you sitting around looking for love in all the wrong places. So I think that with this situation, what makes me just real sad is this. Um, with this poor kid, I'm sure his homies thought it was the coolest thing in the world that he cracked this old guy in the face. They're like, oh yeah, that's right. He said that ain't right. He shouldn't have said that. Okay, well, here's my thing. Look, if you got to pay the cost to be the boss. So if you running your mouth talking about it's how great it is that he punched this guy out, then are you going to pay his lawyers for him? Okay, since you think it's so, since you cheering him on when he's out here beating people's asses because somebody called him the N word, are you going to be in court? Are you going to be there making sure that he's good? Are you going to get him out of jail? Because I'm gonna tell y'all this, and this is something that young people got to understand. Is most of these sons of bitches that will tell you how to live your life ain't never gonna be nowhere to be found when it's time to pay the price of the consequences. Like when the shit hits the fan and it gets 100% real, take it from a guy who's taken chances his whole life. I have done things in my career and in my life that nobody stood by me, but everybody was like, yeah, you go do it. Oh my God, whatever. And I can tell you, in my darkest, most challenging moments, the only people that were there for me was usually the guy in the mirror, and maybe my little brother or somebody. But all those people cheering you on, telling you to go punch an old man in the face because he called you the N word. Ain't none of those motherfuckers gonna pay a nickel of your motherfucking legal fees. And that's just me. That's Uncle Boyce just keeping it real with you. So please, 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 if somebody says something to you, man, like call them. If they call you a name, call them a name. Okay, fine. Then y'all can waste time calling each other names, right? Or better yet, walk away if you have important things to do. If you are a person of purpose and dignity, if you are a person who values your life and who values what you're doing, you're not really gonna care a whole lot about what other people are doing or what other people are have to say about what you're doing, right? And, again, I get talked about all the time. I sometimes I see it every now and then. Somebody will say, "Yeah, I was on the internet and I heard so and so said you were a blah blah blah," and I'm like, "Yeah, well, that's what broke people do. Broke people sit around and get mad at people that are successful, and that's their job. Their job is to be the hater, and I appreciate them fulfilling their role to the fullest of their responsibility. But that does, but at the end of the day, you can't run around constantly being triggered by other people's words. Words don't usually mean shit. It's actions that matter. What actions are you putting into your life? What actions are you putting toward the things you believe in? And the same thing, ladies, when a guy tells you, put sweet, whispers all these sweet words in your ear so he can get a piece of ass. The words are nice, but what are your actions? Are his actions consistent with the words? Then that makes sense. But if the actions are not consistent, then talk is cheap. Talk don't mean nothing. So at the end of the day, I feel sorry for this poor kid. His life has been ruined. If it wasn't already ruined before this happened, I don't know what his life was like before that. But I'm sure he's going to have regrets because I'm telling you that that prison ain't no joke. It is not a joke, and I don't want to see this happen to any more young people. So that's why I'm talking about this issue right now. All right. So anyway, so let's see here. Juanita Bowling says this link is from Dr. Boyce Watkins' page. He is a legitimate financial guru focused on Black finances and wealth. This particular post is out of his usual realm, but it's still interesting and valuable. Oh, well, thank you very much. I appreciate you saying that about me, Juanita. Yeah, I am just so you know, I am not a finance professor who happens to be Black. I am a Black man who happens to be a finance professor. So everything I talk about is through the lens of Blackness, is through the lens of making your life better. And one of the things I've learned about studying wealth is that wealth is connected to a lot of other things that go on inside your life. And it's like the human body. You can't just talk about the heart without understanding how the heart connects and interacts with the lungs and the kidneys and and the spinal cord and all that stuff. So ultimately, because if you have an unhealthy body, it doesn't matter. You can have the healthiest heart in the world, but if the rest of your body is all fucked up, then you're not gonna be able to have a healthy heart. Do you get what I'm saying? Give me a yes in the chat if you understand what I'm talking about. So a lot of times I love to talk about life because I've learned that a lot of the reason that people can't build wealth is because of other things that are happening in their lives. It might come down to how we're choosing our relationships, how we make choices, how we get, what we do when we get up in the morning, how we manage our time. Steve Harvey, I saw a video Steve Harvey did that I shared on my Instagram. My Instagram is the real Boyce Watkins, by the way. I'll put it on the screen if anybody wants to follow me on Instagram. And he said something like that I thought was really interesting that I don't totally disagree with, but I think it deserves some nuance. He said something like, "Rich people don't sleep 8 hours a day." And he was explaining that, that you can go watch the video, just go to the real Boyce Watkins, and it's a compelling motivational kind of statement to say rich people don't sleep 8 hours a day. 8 hours a day is a third of your life. If you waking up at 11 o'clock, the stock market's been open 2 hours. The blah 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 blah. They making decisions about your life, and your ass asleep. And I agree with that, right? I agree that successful people don't spend their lives asleep. That being woke is more than just a phrase. It is a way of life. It is a choice to be conscious, a choice to be conscious of your surroundings, conscious of opportunities, conscious of possibilities, conscious of your actions, conscious of where your resources are going. The more conscious you are, the more successful you will be, because you're going to be able to manage all of your resources more effectively, from your money to your time to your love to your commitments to everything else, right? I get that, right? You invest your time and energy in ways that are going to make you successful because you are conscious and aware of where you're putting things. An unconscious person, on the other hand, waste their resources. They waste their time. They sit down, start watching TV. They don't realize it's 11 o'clock now. Or they go and they just fall in love and they go chase every big butt and a smile. Next thing you know, you got kids everywhere. You got a whole messy life. You got bad people in your life because you're not conscious of where you're placing your love in your relationships. You're not conscious of where you're placing your money. So black wealth gets zapped away at a tune of about over $1 trillion a year, because we're not consciously spending and investing our money, right? In many cases, some of us are, some of us aren't. That trend is changing. So I get what he's saying about the importance of being woke and not spending your life asleep. Makes perfect sense, Steve Harvey. I get that. I support that. I believe in that. However, the balance of that, though, is this idea that somehow, in order to be successful, you've got to not get enough sleep every night, is kind of missing the point, right? It's not holistic. And this is a critique anybody can make of Steve Harvey, actually. And I'm actually going to talk about this a little bit more because I think it's an important concept. Steve Harvey's not really, in the eyes of many, he's not seen as a balanced guy. There are a lot of people in the black community who don't feel that he's really added as much value as he could have added. And some people think he's kind of a little bit of an asshole, right? I don't know if that's true or not. I'm sure he's been nice to people and asshole to people. It's probably a mixed bag. But the point of that is to say that this idea that in order to be successful, you can't sleep is in contradiction to the fact that in order for you to truly be successful and happy in all aspects of your life, you've got to be well-rounded. You've got to be able to have a holistic approach to how you achieve your success. Because any health expert will tell you that getting enough sleep every night, and sleep and water, those are two things that are so important. Getting enough sleep and water every day is critical for 1,000 different functions that exist in your body. So if you're not balanced in that way, like if you somehow think, well, I'm supposed to sleep 2 hours every night or 3 hours every night, I mean, cool. Maybe you do that when you're 25, 26 years old. I get that. But you keep doing that for the rest of your life, then what's going to happen is by the time you get about 35, 40, 45, 50, you're going to start having major health problems that will come from the fact that you haven't been taking care of your body. So it's a lot like saying, I want to drive my car as far as possible. So I'm not going to stop to put gas in it. I'm not going to stop to put oil in it. I'm not going to stop to give it a tune up. I'm not going to stop to do none of that. I'm just going to drive the hell out of this thing. Well, eventually you would keep driving the car and the car will eventually be dead on the side of the road. So a lot of human beings are like that as well, because we drive, and we don't stop to refresh. We don't stop to get plenty of rest. We don't think about our health. We're not thinking about fitness. We're not thinking about mental health, physical health, spiritual health, all the things that matter for success. Then what happens is that you end up on the side of the road. You end up in the hospital, and all your wealth is going toward getting back the health that you lost chasing wealth in the first place. So you gave up your health chasing wealth. Now you're giving up your wealth chasing health, right? So everybody who's listening, I encourage you to kind of just think about that, and that consciousness piece. I know that's a little bit different from what we talked about in the beginning, but y'all know how I do. I really want you to be successful, so I share whatever comes to mind. And with that Steve Harvey post, I think young guys and young women that want to be successful, I don't want you to think that in order to be successful, you have to just not allow yourself to enjoy your life, right? Even with wealth, like some people make you think in order to be wealthy, you got to save every nickel. You can't waste money on anything. You can never buy a new car. You must always get a used car. All these, I'm like, no, enjoy your money, enjoy your life. Just handle your business. Handle your business. Let me tell you a little secret about me, okay? And I don't want to make it about me, but I'm gonna just share this for anybody that can benefit from this. Hit the thumbs up button. Please hit the thumbs up button if you haven't done it yet. Please do that. I take at least one nap a day, and sometimes I take two, and if I feel like it, I might even take three. And I sleep every night until I wake up. I don't use alarm clocks unless I absolutely have to. I don't like it. It doesn't feel natural to me to be forced out of my sleep. I'd rather sleep until my body says, I'm good. Okay, now let's get up and let's go conquer the world. And you know what I do then? I get up and I make a promise to myself. Boyce, you can sleep as long as you want. You can chill as much as you want. You can stop whenever you want. But when you are free, you grind like a motherfucker. You go hard. Right? You go get it. You don't mess around. You don't waste time. You don't sit. I don't waste time sitting on the when I'm working. I turn off my phone. I turn off my Twitter, my Instagram, all the stuff that's distracting the rest of the world, all the little triggers that people are reacting to, and everybody's allowing themselves to be emotionally dragged from one issue to the next. I don't do that. I live in almost like a weird little vacuum, to be honest with you. It's like me and my family and then mental health and making sure I'm always balanced. Because that's the other thing too. You have a lot of people out here that are really rich and really successful that are unhappy as fuck. Like they are miserable. They are I mean, you got millionaires that are suicidal. And the reason I think that they get to that point is because they're like, damn, I made it to the mountaintop, but I don't feel like I'm on the mountaintop. I'm successful, but I don't feel successful. I'm supposed to be happy, but I don't feel happy. Well, that's because you took care of one thing. You were a one-dimensional player. You were like Michael Jordan was when he first got in the NBA and thought that the championship would go to the guy who scored the most points. So Michael Jordan was out here scoring 37 points a game, and the Bulls couldn't even get past the first round of the playoffs. And that's because he didn't understand the importance of being holistic. He didn't understand that in order to win a championship, you've got to do more than just score more points than everybody else. To win a championship, you got to have good defense. You've got to be able to pass the ball. You've got to know how to score from different positions on the court. You've got to make your teammates better. You've got to have a strong organization behind you. You've got to plan for the future. You have to compete on 18 different cylinders to win a championship. You cannot compete on just one. You cannot be a one-trick pony. You cannot be a one-dimensional creature. So what I encourage you guys to do, again, if you take anything away from this conversation that you get, and I don't mean to sound preachy, I promise you I don't, because I truly respect your right to live your life as you choose. I am not here to be an authority on any level. I'm just here to offer some support. Figure out who the hell you are. Figure out, knowledge of self is everything. First, start by figuring out who you are, what makes you happy, what matters to you, and come to that conclusion without allowing anybody to tell you what should make you happy. For many years, I was told that a successful black man is a guy who gets a good job working for white people, and I got that. I went to school for a long time. I had my first job at Syracuse University. I made $115,000 a year. I could have made more. I was the highest paid assistant professor on the entire campus, and I had this really cool, prestigious opportunity, and I really felt like I was a successful Negro. Like everybody was telling me I was successful, but what happened was I was like, everybody's telling me that I've achieved, but I don't feel successful. I don't feel something's missing. Something's missing. And in order to figure out where that void was and how to fill it, it required knowledge of self. And that's something that you only get inside of you. And you have to have enough confidence to accept that, right? So I realized, I said, this sounds stupid, but my taking a nap every day is really important to me. If I don't get a nap, I'm grumpy as hell. If I don't have my nap, I'm kind of irritated. So I learned to accept this idea that I don't give a shit what anybody else believes is the right way to live your life. I need my damn nap, and that's it. Right. And so the list kind of goes on and on to other things too, in terms of how you want to live and how you want to make your money and exactly what profession you want to be in, and the work you want to do and the work you don't want to do. Like if you know these things, then what happens in my view is that you become the spiritual equivalent of a rock in a world full of leaves. Right. And the wind is blowing constantly the wind's blowing. The winds of propaganda, the winds of brainwashing, media's brainwashing you, the educational system's brainwashing you, and your family's brainwashing you. People are telling you what you should do constantly. The wind is always blowing. The wind is like people's opinions. It's like the wind. It ain't really, the wind can't really move you unless you allow it to, right? And so some of us like to live our lives by going with the wind as opposed to against the wind. Going against the wind is hard, but I think of it like the difference between a leaf and a rock. So spiritually, my goal was to be a rock. A rock is not going to move with the wind. Right? A rock says, "This is where I'm at. This is who I am. This is what I'm going to be," and it does. And the wind plays no parts in deciding where that rock is going to be located. But most people, spiritually speaking, in my view, and intellectually as well, are not rocks. They are leaves. They just kind of blow. Like, okay, the wind's blowing east. We're gonna go east, y'all. Wind's blowing west. We're gonna go west, y'all. Right. And they you see people on the internet that are doing these stupid internet trends and internet fads and internet challenges and not even really thinking about it. Right. Like your son's looking and sees his mama on Instagram looking like a hoe trying to fit in, right? Or your daughter's got to look at her daddy and say, "Daddy, what is wrong with you? Like, why are you always trying to fit in and be cool?" Right? Like, how about you just spend time with your child and be a good father? Like, that's not the coolest thing in the world to some people, but that's important, right? And so I see a lot of people that become like leaves, or politically, like everybody on TV starts talking about immigrants or Asian hate, then suddenly everybody starts talking about Asian hate and starts posting about it, and then everybody goes over and they start talking about something else, then everybody starts talking about that. I encourage you to be a rock, because I believe that the rocks have real weight in the world, like physical weight and actual spiritual weight. I believe that the rocks are the people that move the agenda. The rocks are the ones that the world remembers. And so my goal at the end of the day has always been to be a rock, right? You might not like me, you might love me to death, you might hate me to death. That really doesn't matter, because your love or your hate is not going to determine what kind of rock I'm going to choose to be. I'm going to be here. I'm going to be Boyce, and that's all it's going to be. So be a rock in your life. And I believe rocks are happier than leaves, because leaves end up wherever the wind blows, whereas a rock is going to be where it's going to be no matter what. Okay, so be a rock. All right. So anyway, I'm going to go. I hope this helps some of you. I know that, I think that I was in this mode to talk about these other things because I was thinking about this poor kid who, allowed somebody's words to cause him to do something that's going to get him sent to prison for life. I'm sure he regrets it. At least, I don't know, maybe he doesn't, but I assume he does. And it just makes me feel sad for him. So share this with any young person that you know, and I hope that this helps them. And also, by the way, I have a book. If you can have it for free, it's totally free. It's called "It Takes a Village to Raise the Bar," and you can get a copy of the book for free if you go to allblackeconomics.com and just get on the email list also for the Black Business School. I'll send you lots of free stuff and information, all that stuff. So I hope this helps you. I hope you have a great day. Please hit the thumbs up button on your way out, and I will talk to you guys soon. Take care. Love you guys. Peace.
Here we are, clan the isms, cataclysm great. Our people out here struggling, trying to make it in this state. Everybody out here doing it, but we the ones who late. Now family, we the ones who gotta delegate. Get that money in the power, never be fake. Stick to co-sign for 3. What did he say? Create jobs, support our own. Educate the same and buy back your home. Got 3 degrees, triple 10. 3 PhDs, now we on the CNN. DBTV, let's talk about negligence. Ignorance is bliss, but we can turn it to intelligence. Believe none of what you hear, half of what you see. Let's break it down here on Dr. Boyce TV. Here we are.